Okay, girls, sages and mages and exploradoras. Buenas tardes, buenos dias, wherever you are. I'm here in Mexico on the Yucatan Peninsula, exploring the Mayan ruins and being in a really sacred place. And I'm here to share with you and talk to you today about the benefits of traveling alone. Because I believe it's something everyone should do at least once in their lifetime. I believe solo travel gives you this really unique perspective and an opportunity to build this very special relationship with yourself when you're relying on yourself, when you are making decisions for yourself, when you are with yourself. For the most part, when you book a place and you're not in a hostel with other people in the room, you're usually by yourself when you have your alone time. And those are really the only times that you are alone, is when you're in your room or your Airbnb if you're in a hotel. And the moment that you get on the plane to go, get on the train, get on the bus, whatever, however you decide to get where you're going, is the lonely part, the solo part. Otherwise, you have these moments when you book a tour and you're in a group. You book an experience, you're with a group. You go to a restaurant, you're around people and you can talk to the wait staff. And if you're at the bar, you can talk to people at the bar. You go to the store, you talk to the clerk, you bump into someone and make a funny joke. Like, there are always people around. And even if you book a cabin and you're in this remote location and that's how you want to spend your solo time, you're in nature. You're around the trees, you're around animals. There's life all around. You're never really alone. And if this is not something you already believe, I think that you might struggle a little bit, but I digress. Traveling alone has its benefits, and there's always someone, whether it's someone from my family, a friend's mom or auntie, there's always someone who says, wow, you're traveling by yourself? You're going by yourself? I can't believe that. Aren't you scared? Of course I'm scared. Every time I have a little fear, I have a little nervousness, I have a little anxiousness about not knowing what's going to happen, about not knowing if there's going to be any hiccup that I have to deal with. And there usually almost always is something to have to figure out that I didn't anticipate. But when you get over those moments, when you are able to overcome these challenges that come your way by yourself, you feel a little bit stronger. You feel like you can really depend on yourself a bit more. And that's a special feeling, because we're all we have at the end of the day, at the end of life. We came here by ourselves. We most likely will leave by ourselves. If you have a dream like me, where you end up dying in a beautiful garden surrounded by the family that you created with your body and your soul and your prayers, and you just kind of fall asleep in a rocking chair, that's fortunate. That's a fortunate way to go out. And we can't really rely on that happening. So we have to build a very strong relationship with ourselves, where we trust ourselves and we know ourselves, all the nuances and intricacies of how we handle challenges, of how we relate to the world as we are exploring it. Exploradora. I'm right here in the middle of the city, so you're gonna hear a bunch of streetcars and noise, but that is a part of it. And I think that it's a really good ambiance to have as we talk about travel. Sometimes we're in situations that are different from what we're used to. I am not much of a city girl, but a lot of times I choose to stay in the city so that I can experience what the city has to offer, so that I can be in walkable parts of town and not have to pay for cabs or take a long ride to get to where I want to experience. Sometimes I'll book a place that is a little bit more remote where I can get rest and I don't have to hear the noises. But there's something invigorating about being right in the middle of the city when you can hear people moving at a certain time. When the sun rises, you can hear people rise as well, and noises start to remind you of how the world is turning, regardless of what you're doing. For those of you just joining, I'm Akila, and I'm really going to help you out with this. So when you travel alone, you get to know yourself in a very intimate way. Traveling will bring out who you are, what your interests are. When you're by yourself, however, and I talk about this in a previous video, there are different choices that you get to make that are catered to what you want and how you want to spend your time. There goes a really large bus. And another one. We're actually taking a bus tomorrow to a different part of town, so I'm not mad at it, just as long as we're all on time. But in Mexico, there's a thing called Mexican time, and you just never know. So we're making our own choices, we're making our own decisions, and figuring out how we want to spend our time. Sometimes that may be doing absolutely nothing, watching foreign television and eating the snacks that you brought at the local grocery store that are weird looking and interesting, and you have everything you need to have a little cozy space, so you don't want to leave the house. You don't want to leave the Airbnb. It's really cozy, and that's okay, because in those moments you're able to be one with yourself, be nurturing to yourself, and have conversations with the voice that's in your head. Figure out what that voice is even saying. If we're constantly doing all the time, we have no room to listen to whatever that playbook is, whatever is being played. We haven't given ourselves time to stop and listen and acknowledge what's being said. Because those are the voices that run the show. Those are the voices that are really leading our lives and have gotten us to where we are today. And if it's a place that we don't like, we have the opportunity to change it by figuring out what that voice is saying, acknowledging it, and making the choice to change it. All of these different beautiful transitions and enlightened moments happen in the quiet spaces, happen in the spaces that we allow ourselves to have that are just for us. I say travel is a form of therapy because it really allows you to therapize yourself in whatever way that looks like. You get to decide. So if your form of therapy is getting rest because you haven't had proper rest, because maybe you've been in survival mode for a really long time. I remember the year for me when I slept for the majority of the year. And it was the 1 year when I had actually had the time to sleep. And I, at first, of course, would feel a lot of guilt from resting this way. I would think, oh, you know, I have this new place. I should be up. I should be decorating. I should be doing the things. I should be hustling now that I have space to hustle out of. And I listened to my body. Thank goddess I did, because now I have so much more energy to give to others and to show up in this way, because I took a certain amount of time to give myself the rest that I needed when I was in survival mode. I got to give that to myself. When you travel by yourself, or when you travel anywhere in general, if this is something that you feel that you need, your body will tell you. You'll try and do things. You'll try and do all the things and go to the museums and go to the bar hopping group sessions and get up the next day and go to the market, and you'll wonder why it feels like such a struggle to do these simple things. It's because you're tired. And if you're tired and you listen to your body and you're able to relax and rest in a way that feels good to you, whether that means sleeping, whether that means creating a cozy space for you not to have to do too much with your energy, to conserve and to have time to journal and to cook your own meals and just be with yourself, then that's what you do. And that's where the beauty lies. These beautiful moments where you can receive messages and you can have moments with yourself that are creative and expansive. A lot of times when we're confused in life, the answers are within us. We just have to give ourselves the space to listen to what those answers are. A lot of times, for me, I find those answers in nature. So whenever I'm feeling super out of sorts, I go outside and I feel very connected to getting grounded by the earth's stability. So I'll go outside and just have my question in my head, and 99.9% of the time I get an answer from having alone time in nature. And if that is not something that you've ever done, you won't understand. But I encourage it. People who have been in therapy will tell you that you can't expect to go into therapy once or twice, or even for 1 month or a couple of months, and expect a grand transition to change your life completely, and all of a sudden you don't need to go to therapy anymore. I relate this to a healing journey altogether, in general. When we decide to take our healing process seriously, to engage in different therapeutic practices as a practice, as something that we have dedicated ourselves to. We can't expect for everything to work out in a way that seems instant, that seems like, okay, I'm done with this now I can move on, now I'm healed, I've been reborn, it's done. This is a lifelong journey. Getting to know ourselves as we are on this planet, in this reincarnation, and all of the different intricacies that we were not only born with, but have carried over from other lifetimes, is this beautiful map to be discovered over the course of our entire lives. So, acknowledging our strengths, figuring out what they are, and putting them out into the world, acknowledging our weaknesses, and figuring out what our deepest traumas are that need to be worked on, traumas that we've experienced here in this lifetime and other lifetimes that need focus and attention and nurturing and healing. All of that together will take multiple lifetimes. But we're just going to focus on this one. And for this life, when you decide that there are secrets that need to be revealed, that you have decided to have the courage to unveil, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. And one of the ways that I believe makes it more fun is to take it outside of your backyard. Travel is not a way to escape. Travel is not a way to believe that once I go to this place, everything is going to be better. Everything is going to turn out so amazing, and I'm going to be transformed, and I don't have to work on anything else. I can go back and I'll have worked on it. It's done. I'm here to warn you and to do it in a loving way so that you know that we do not do this healing so that there's an end result. We engage in our healing journey and our therapeutic practices in discovering ourselves and exploring the world that in turn allows us to explore ourselves, because we reap the benefits a little bit at a time. I like to think that each place I go is going to teach me something new. Everywhere I visit is going to give me a new experience that is going to strengthen me somehow. And just embracing that unknown, embracing the fact that I don't know, but that I hope for the best, and that I look for surprises and I look for beautiful things to mirror back to me what I can envision in my mind. All of that packaged along with the moments of despair and loneliness and depression that may come up when you are faced with all that is you. All of the choices that you wish you hadn't made, all of the experiences that have happened in life that have really hurt and shaped and shifted you in such ways that it may seem like they'll always be there. These traumatic events that it seems you'll always carry. But when we do the work, when we choose to work on ourselves, when we choose to be with ourselves, we give ourselves the opportunity to transform all of that. Nothing has to stay the same, ever. Everything is always changing, constantly. Our skin cells are shedding as we sleep. Every day that we wake up to a new day, we are someone different. And if we want to flow with the time that we've been given, with the energy and abilities that we've been given, meaning the ability to be alive and make choices, we also have the opportunity to make new choices. Each day, each second is a new opportunity to make a different choice. And we can figure out what choices need to be shifted and changed and examined a little bit more when we give ourselves the space to figure out who we are when we're by ourselves. For many people, it seems like one of the hardest things to do and such a scary thing to do, to take yourself out of everything that you know, everything that you're familiar with, on your own, because when you do the research and you know that it's a safe bet to do what you're doing, you can just go. Go and see who you are. The last benefit I'll share that I feel is really important and really encouraging, and one of the things that I definitely look forward to when I travel, especially to new places, is the opportunity to meet new friends. The surprise of meeting someone that you had no idea that you would meet in the most random place in the world, almost like reuniting with a soul that you knew in a past life, in another part of the world. I have so many friends that I have made throughout my travels just by connecting with them, just by taking the leap and going to a new place that I've never been and have always dreamed of going, and being able to connect with another human being so far away from everything that I've ever known and everyone that I've ever known. Some of the friends that I've made overseas are friends that I know that I'll have throughout my entire life. And I have no doubt that they feel the same way and that I can call on them when I am feeling like talking to them and reaching out to them and wanting to hear about their lives. Nowadays, we can just stalk each other on Instagram and make sure that we're alive and that we're doing cool things in the world. And we're like, yes, like I'm so glad that I met that person. Because each of us are a reflection of each other. And when you meet people all around the world who reflect to you these different parts of yourself that you may have thought were dormant or non-existent, and you are just shocked and surprised that the universe gave you this gift of a person who is so amazing, who makes you feel so happy, and you would have never met them if you didn't leave your walls, your familiar walls. It's almost like being rewarded for that bravery when you make a new friend. I enjoy the concept of meeting people when I travel, even going so far as to think of the people who show up almost in an angelic way to help you when you are in distress, who will help you figure out where you're trying to go when your map isn't working because your internet isn't working in the town that you've ended up in and you feel really confused. Someone sent by the heavens, sent by the spirits that protect you as you go forth and do this really adventurous and courageous thing. The universe is rewarding you by sending you help when you need it. People who are just really nice that you didn't expect. People who will help you with your luggage up a long flight of stairs. Meeting someone who is able to give you their WhatsApp number and put you on all the most private, exclusive, non-touristic things to do that end up being some of the most amazing memories that you have in your memory bank because you got blessed. Because let's face it, girl, everyone wants to bless you. You just have to put yourself out there somehow. You don't have to go across the country to Thailand. You don't have to do something grandiose. You can simply go to the next town by yourself because it's something you don't know. You want to fire off these different neurons and challenge your brain to make new choices and adapt and shift because you were courageous enough to leave everything behind and figure out what's really going on within your own heart. We can do that when we travel by ourselves. When we allow the experience of travel to transform us, it'll help us to figure out what we really want in life. It takes us away from what we've been ruminating in our familiar environments, so that we can view it from almost an eagle eye, a bird's eye view, to see everything as it is and decide how we want to change it, if there's anything we want to change. The relationship you have with yourself will change. Traveling by yourself changes everything, especially if you are to travel somewhere that doesn't speak the same language as you. You'll amaze yourself at how quickly you'll learn the language and be able to communicate, and to rely on the universal language of energy that surprisingly will get you very far. A smile is universal, laughter is universal, fear is universal. And this is something I always talk about, relying on your gut when you, especially as a woman, are traveling around by yourself. Your gut will be your guide the entire time if you allow it to be. I know that when I started traveling very young. I was on a plane right as a baby, going from one place to the next when my mom decided to move after I turned a little over 1 year old. And that may have something to do with it, but I didn't really leave the country until I was 16. And I went on a trip, a school tour to Europe, and I fell in love. I knew, and I think that that is similar for many people who know that they are or call themselves wanderlusts. You know the moment you go away and you end up in this place and it's somewhere different, you become someone different, and you become enamored with the feeling. You're like, wow, this is where it's at. Like, this is a form of therapy that I really enjoy. And we're gonna call it therapy because it has its ups and downs. It has the moments when you feel so in awe with what you're seeing and you're excited about where you are. You're going to museums, you're going on experiences, you're wearing new clothes if that's something that is interesting to you to do, to explore fashion. I know it is for me, but now that I travel more often, it's more about the journey, and I have maybe a set of 4 or 5, maybe 6 different outfit options that I just integrate for months. And like I said, things are always changing. Nothing ever stays the same. I have decided to be in this place where I'm not traveling for the Instagram pics. I'm traveling for the exploration of self. And so my outfits don't really matter to me as much anymore, and I can alternate them over and over. I may end up buying some new pieces here and there sometimes, very rarely, if the piece is just something that's calling to me and I can't not take it with me. I have to heed the call. It's talking to me. I can't just ignore this piece. I have to take it with me. It's telling me to, so I'm gonna obey. Those are the only times. But all this to say, back to the therapeutic part, right? You have the moments that are aha moments, like the moment when you sit down with a therapist and you're excited to talk about whatever you've planned to talk about. You're excited to get to the place that you're going and see the sights and be in a new place and feel the energy of a new place and feel yourself rising within yourself. And then you have the moments where you don't feel so hot, when you realize you're alone and you have to sit with yourself, and you may have feelings of loneliness and get really sad about that, because it can feel saddening to think, wow, I really am by myself. I wish that I had this moment to share with someone else, but I've chosen to be by myself, so let me honor this time. Who is this? Who am I? What is really going on here? And you may not like what you find. You may get to a point, and this happens for me especially, so I'll share. You may get to a point when you're sitting with some very uncomfortable truths about yourself, because you're looking at yourself, you're looking at your space, you're looking at where your life has come to, this point that your life has come to, and you really get to examine the different pieces on the board. And a lot of times, we've made some moves that we shouldn't have. We've made some moves that, looking back in hindsight, we would never make again. And the only way to change something is to become aware of it. I say this often. And so there's that moment in therapy when you've come to what we would call a breakthrough, and I'm not really sure why they're called that, because it's usually very uncomfortable. It's usually a hard truth that you have to sit with, and if you're someone like me, you may blame yourself and get down in the dumps about it, and almost want to punish yourself for doing something or ending up in a place that you are now aware you put yourself in. But we don't have to do that. We don't have to do any of that. We can have grace and allow ourselves to become aware without beating ourselves up, without blaming, without thinking of things so black and white. We are messy, messy humans, just trying to figure out how to live, how to love, how to have joy amongst the fact that the world is on fire. And in turn, so are we. And we're only able to benefit anyone when we have a certain set of strengths of our own. When we can heal ourselves, when we can pour into our own well, then we can pour out easily, freely, more wholeheartedly when we take this time, when we heal ourselves and find out what these things actually are inside of ourselves that need to be examined a little further with love and curiosity. I'm in love with the process. I'm in love with going deep within myself and finding out who is making what choices, exploring my subconscious, my conscious, and my unconscious, and putting them all together so that we can really get what we want out of life instead of letting life happen to us. We are in control. Ladies, gentlemen too, listen up. We are the ones who get to choose. And if you walk around saying, oh, I wish I could travel, I wish I could, go to all of these exotic places, and I wish I could take a break from myself, I wish I could do this. There's always a way. It may not be a conventional way. It may not even be the way that you've been thinking of in your head. But when we allow our imaginations to take over, when we allow ourselves to remember that source is infinite, the possibilities that we can imagine happening for us in this life are infinite. And there's some version of you somewhere that's doing the thing you want to do. The only thing holding you back is the way that you think. If we think about not having something, then we won't have it. It's that simple. I promise you it is. It's the law. I didn't make it up. It's like gravity. What we think about at most times of the day, the things that we think about over and over are the things that we manifest in our lives. So, when we travel, we'll just have manifested another version of us who is experiencing something new that is going to change her perspective for the rest of her life. From that moment forward, she will be equipped for something more. And we don't know what that is. Embracing that level of uncertainty is really going to get you far if you want to be someone who explores more often. Get comfortable with the idea that you're not going to know the outcome. You're not going to know step by steps. You're not going to. I don't like traveling with people who have itineraries, like strict itineraries of what we're going to do. I'm always the one who, if I do go on that kind of trip, if it's a girl's trip or a bachelorette thing, whatever, I'm always the one who will cross out most of the things and say maybe. Maybe I come to the breakfast, or maybe I get breakfast when I feel like getting breakfast, when I have done my yoga and my meditations and I feel rejuvenated and I've done all of the things that I need to do. Maybe we went out and had a crazy night last night and I want to sleep in. Maybe I have that strength because I travel by myself quite often. So when I do travel with other people, I have to make sure that I'm doing what's best for me regardless. If there is an excursion that has been booked at the same time I have planned to go to the gym because I feel like that's what I need, I don't want to regret not getting the time I need for myself, because then it rolls over into not being a very good friend and showing up kind of halfway to the group activities, knowing that there was something I needed for myself that I didn't give myself. The person who made the itinerary will end up saying, "What's wrong with you? Why are you acting like that? Why you got a stank attitude?" Can you imagine me with a stank attitude? It happens because I'm human and I'll get cranky if I haven't had my me time, especially before joining a social setting. I'm not fully equipped to be here. That's why my energy is giving off ick. I'm sorry. I needed my green juice. I didn't get it. I needed my yoga and meditation time, and I forfeited that to be here. And that is why I'm having a hard time. Sorry for the attitude. Wouldn't it be better just to figure out what you need, give it to yourself, drink all the water, drink all the nourishment that you are going to need for yourself to be the best version of yourself when you present yourself to the world? It's so much better. And people feel that. And they say, "Wow, you're glowing. I really love your energy. I love talking to you. And I don't know why I feel like I can share my whole life with you," for those of us who are empaths. And, hopefully this was all helpful. I really don't want to discourage anyone. My highest hope is that you feel invigorated and encouraged to take a trip on your own, to really take that deep dive into who you are, who you think you are, who you want to discover that you are, through taking yourself away and being with yourself in a really, really special, intimate, and juicy way. It expands every relationship. If you are like me and you have a ton of shit to work on, you're carrying around so much from the way that you live your life, interacting with so many people throughout so many years of your life. To take yourself away and to be with yourself is going to serve everyone who comes in contact with you from that moment forward. Traveling and expanding and meeting new people changes how you see the world. It changes how you see yourself. Obviously, it's what we've been talking about for the past 10 minutes. It changes how you see everyone you relate to. Because every part of the world has different traditions and different cultures and different ways of relating to each other. And this just expands the way that you're able to relate to everything that you come in contact with, everyone that you have conversations with. It seeps out from your very being and allows you to have a more wholehearted, curious life. I'm excited for the journeys that I can just imagine some of you going on after being encouraged by these words. I encourage solo travel in the respect that I believe I'll be doing it my entire life, even when I have a family of my own, which is a goal of mine. I will always make time to go away however I can. And I know that I have a certain privilege right now in this phase of my life to travel in the way that I do. But I know that there's always a way to make time for yourself. And of course, anyone that I'm mated to and sharing a life with and co-creating a family with will understand that mama needs her travel time. Even if it's just a day, okay? I'm going. I have to, because for me, it's a form of therapy. And it can be for you too. Especially when you have decided to take this life that you've been given and all the choices that we have made and transform them for good, to alchemize any pain, any setbacks, anything that has caused damage to your heart and soul. To take advantage of the fact that we have the power to change all of that. It starts by feeling it. It starts by allowing yourself to be with it, sit with it, have conversations with it. And a really cool and interesting and unique way to do that is to travel and see what comes up and see who it is you're really, really dealing with. You'll be surprised, either pleasantly or not, but it's you. And you have to have your own back. You have to, so that other people can follow suit. People only treat you how you treat yourself. And here I have given you some water. Hopefully you're able to feel nourished by it. And I look forward to seeing you again as we continue learning and talking about all the things I wish I knew. Ways to be well, ways to be happy, ways to alchemize whatever we've been given in this life. I'll see you here next time.